My name is Waad. I am 28 years old. I'm Syrian. I filmed my life through 5 years of love, war, pain and happiness in Aleppo City.
بحلب مدينتي. لسه عم صور. هذا الشيء اللي عم بيخلي معنى لوجودي. ما حدا منا كان عنده أي فكرة كيف رح تتغير حياتنا للأبد.
حمزة أنا حامل. سما سما
سما، عملت هالفيلم مشانك. بدي إياك تفهمي شو اللي كنا عم نقاتل مشانه.
بحبك كثير أكثر من
أصو بيضرب كثير اليوم.
سما، أنا بعرف إنك عم تفهمي شو عم بصير. بقدر أشوف هالشي بعيونك. ما عم تبكي مثل أي طفل عادي. وهذا الشي اللي عم يحرق لي قلبي.
جبلها بخلصك المشفى.
انت جوا.
سما، رح تسامحيني؟
Waad al-Khatib, Bashar al-Assad has dominated your entire life. As a Syrian under his dictatorship, and now as an exile living in Britain, your working life is devoted to his brutality and war crimes. Will you ever escape, do you think?
It's not something personal. We're speaking about like 21 million people who's Syrian around the world, and half of them in Syria and the others is outside. So this is something we can, all of us, manage to do. And the fact that nothing will stay forever, that will make us relief and hope that this is not will be the end of the life.
How much material did you record whilst you were in Aleppo?
It was around 300 hours, and what you've seen is just a little bit of what I have. So it's, let's say, like 5 years, each day of at least 1 hour filming, and you can imagine and count how much is it.
Most depictions of conflict are from a male perspective. What do we learn about it from your perspective, the female perspective?
It's more about the details about this life, about one eye from inside this life, not from one side or from one corner, like capturing something. It was one story, as it is, as many others, mothers, as many others female, like people who were living there. Like there's something usually the man feel but he couldn't express, but for me as a female I can, and I would love to share it with other people, and especially in that situation.
Being a woman in a conservative part of Aleppo provided you with access to women and children, something that's traditionally off limits to men.
Yeah, it's something was very interesting. I've never noticed that before, but I felt that through my experience with them. When I was going to any family wants to film or something, they were they were accepted that. They were feeling that it's okay, and even the mothers or the women who want to share their stories. You know, the feeling of I'm a mother there, and I am a woman, normal woman, like living my life in this situation, but at the same time I feel in some places I'm just the journalist who wants to document this feeling. So everything I've did was mixed between these two responsibilities, And the camera wasn't a plan or wasn't something I wanted to do, but it was something as part of me. Even when I was discovered that I'm pregnant, I didn't notice that I'm pregnant, and then I brought the camera and filmed that. When I put the test one, I put it, and because it needed like 5 minutes, so I brought the camera, because for me that moment could be ended at any second if an attack happened. So this is for me was really as much as important to feel that moment is really to save it.
Young couples will recognise your romance with Hamza, getting married, moving in together, falling pregnant. I suppose the difference is that your honeymoon was in an apocalyptic war zone.
Like at that moment, there was no time to go to honeymoon. That was very simple, you know, there's no time for that for now, so we will just spend it here. And later we can go. We went for a holiday on 5 days or something like this, but the feeling that even to get married at that life and stay at that life, because you know when you will leave you will feel how different the life should be, you know. So just stuck at that life where you are really enjoy that moment, and you will be happy, and that's it.
Why did you focus on children so heavily in your storytelling?
Because this is what I was seeing through my eyes around me. The Aleppo was full of children, and the children, not just in Aleppo, but I think in any war zone and in any normal zone, people like stayed like still all the time bringing children and trying to live their normal life. And this is what it was the reality, and that's why I was just like, I doesn't care how much children is shown, because this is what was around me already.
There's a scene that features an emergency cesarean on a woman who was 9 months pregnant and hit in an airstrike. How important was birth to you and your group?
I think it's for anyone around the world, like to bring a child or to bring a life to this life, normal life. It's be something really interesting and excited, and people like have some hope in that. But especially at that moment, it's something, you know, much bigger. I follow the woman when she get in, to the hospital and she's injured, to the operation room, and it was very obvious that she will be in bad injured and the baby will be of course dead. So I was document this because this is real evidence about this baby couldn't be a terrorist, you know. He's just a baby, like no one can judge and kill these people, whatever the side you are in or something. As mother, it's something really important, and for the world outside, it's really important. Everything around, just like in one moment, it's really changed. And that moment, you can feel why you are there and how important what you are trying to do. And just capture that moment of hope. It's not just gives me as people who like filmed that, but all the people around me, the hospital, all the people who heard about the story, it gives you hope.
Do you think a man would have continued to film that scene?
I really don't know. But many times I wanted to just like close the camera, and I felt through myself that I couldn't handle anymore with this. But I don't know, there's something like was like just attract me to continue.
How do you parent a child in a war zone? Because your urge to protect your child, surely that's at odds with the fact that the situation you're in is totally out of your control.
To bring child to this world, what does that mean? Why you bring it? Is it just like to eat and drink and grow up, have a work, and then dead without doing anything good? As a parent, all the parents will really understand these moments about you want to grow up this child and your child on a principles or on a good cause and a good, let's say, issue to live for. It's not just about the safety and the food and all these things. So in that moment, we have a very big reason why to want to stay in our country and continue our life, you know, and this is just one of the biggest things to give you a relation to the land where you are and to the cause why you are fighting for that.
How much of your film is about showing your daughter Sama, whose first year of life was the last year of the siege, a world she may never see or remember? Because it's possible she'll never return to Aleppo, isn't it?
I hope she will, of course. But I do believe that she understands what happened. She was understanding through that situation, and she aware what was going on. even if she could, but I think she just couldn't explain that. And for me, as people who were displaced out, for us this land, it means a lot, and it will always mean a lot. Since we started and the regime was trying to lie about everything around us, and even before the revolution he was trying to lie about the life and how he is in power and how he's really like doing everything good for our people. At the beginning they said that there's nothing happening. So you've seen a protest, but they've said there's nothing. And then after a while, when they couldn't ignore that footage was coming from inside Syria, they was saying that this is all fake. And Al Jazeera channel in Al Doha in Qatar, they've bring people to the studio and make these videos as it's real. Gradually, when these protests were bigger and bigger and he can't ignore that, he started to say that this is bad people and this is terrorists and this is people who were just want to destroy the Syria as a country. At the end of that, after like 2 years maybe, he started to say this is all ISIS, this is all terrorists, this is all extremists. And everything done was because of the violence, what happened. And I know ISIS was in Syria, and it was a serious problem, but it was nothing comparing to the regime and what he've done like with the people in Syria.
The reason I'm asking you about this is because in many ways it's as dangerous to be a journalist under the Assad regime as it is to take up arms against it.
Yeah, we can now name to you like more than 20 maybe names about people who were just journalists or filmmaker, and they were just killed because they've did something against the regime.
Can you name them?
As I remember, Marie Colvin, which all people knows, James Foley, who was kidnapped by ISIS, but before that he was targeted by the regime. Tamer Al-Awam, he's a filmmaker he was killed in Aleppo.
Another profession targeted by the Syrian regime is doctors. They want to limit the spread of medical knowledge and access to medical care, and yet you chose to live in a hospital.
It's not a choose, you know, it's like there's no space in Syria or any place, let's say, in Aleppo or any other city which it was under bombardment of Al-Assad regime. There's no place is safe. And if you lived in home or hospital or wherever you were, it could be target, or people were used to go to the basement because it was a safe place. After a while, just, you know, the Russians started to use a new rocket, which is, it's not explosion on the ground, but it's just go through the land and then it's explosion. So there was really no safe place. It's just about your destiny when it will be and how lucky you are to be in the right place when the attack happened.
Most people couldn't imagine what it's like living through an airstrike. What does it feel like?
It feels like you don't know when that will be, or your life will be ended. If you say hi to someone or goodbye to someone, you've just say it as it's, you know, from deeply your heart, because you don't know, maybe this is the last time I will see these people. The most exciting things I learned about that life is just enjoy each moment, because you don't know when it will be really like finished.
I found your reaction to those airstrikes very arresting, because it wasn't panic, it wasn't hysteria. In fact, you were largely silent, even when you were separated from your daughter.
You know, I was expected in any moment that something very, very, very bad will happen, you know. You know that something bad will happen and you're waiting for that, but you will keep your feeling until you will see or hear that exactly, you know. It's still mixed between, I'm sure nothing will happen at this moment exactly, but it could be. So this feeling gives you a lot of, you know, like, let's say I wasn't quiet, but I was panicked to the moment where I couldn't really react. We are in the hospital. We have this responsibility about for each others, all of us as a staff and patient. And okay, I'm a normal woman in the end, but also there's another patient. If I will be panic and screaming, I know how that will affect the people around me. So it's kind of decision we were all taken that we should be very, very quiet as much as we can.
How long would people be living in the basement? What sort of period of time would it be before a child would see sunlight?
For families or some people, it could be days. For us, let's say like maybe Sama for 1 week she didn't go to the sun. But I was keeping her when I want to go out to film or do something. I was keeping her also in the hospital with a nurse or a friend there.
You've mentioned Marie Colvin already, and I think there are obvious parallels to her decision to return to Baba Amma, for which she was killed. There's a scene in the film where Summer is strapped to your husband Hamza's chest and you're crossing the front line. Is that the most dangerous situation your daughter's been in?
This is, yeah, the really one. It was feeling that, you know, it's very uncommon, and I don't know if people will understand this, but the phrase was, I don't want to be besieged out. For us, it was, you know, we will be in very bad situation, and we will have the most difficult life if we were out of the city, not with the people who were besieged. And it was not something unique for Hamza, me, but it's for many people who were really couldn't be in at that moment. And when it was really besieged and it got no one can really in, we have that some messages from people outside like, we envoy you are lucky that you get in. And when we left, we really realized that, you know, the feeling that you did everything you could do for being there, and at the end you are now out. It's very, very bad feeling, but at the same time, it gives you the feeling that I couldn't do anything more.
Do you feel guilty about leaving, about the sacrifice that your friends made? And then when you left, did you have that feeling of guilt?
Everyone who shared the first moments of the revolution and know what the feeling of the freedom could be, you know, we didn't experience that, of course, the freedom, but we've seen how it could be, and at that moment we were part of that. We can't just at the end, you know, let them like turn our back and just leave and let the people like just do what we should do. And just about you're responsible for something, and you do believe in that thing. So whatever it was the price, we just should do that.
Do you still feel guilty now?
Yeah, of course. And this is like the mixing between why I'm doing the film now and what the impact could be, and the feeling of I should be there now in Idlib, not here. And even if I'm now trying to shed the light about that, but this is not the real things that I should do.
What's happening in Syria now?
In Idlib, it's the last area which is out of the regime control. All the crimes that al-Assad and Russian did in Syria, and then they take control over, let's say, not 70, maybe 85% of Syria. Each family has a previous experience, as we have in Aleppo, and now they've just like been threatened again about they will be displacement out for nowhere, because this is the last place. And the attacks every day and every minute on people who lives in just like normal buildings. An attack happened like last week or 2 weeks ago on a small camp in one of the just normal lands or flats. So like, what's the point of doing that, you know? And you've seen that in all the videos. What al-Assad tried to do from the beginning and until now, it's just like to destroy everything. I don't know when it will be really like end, as what the solution, what next, what people will face next. No one really knows.
Where is home?
Home. It's Aleppo, of course.
Do you dream about it?
Part of it, yes, and in another part, I'm still living there.
Do you have nightmares about it?
This is my suffering now. The moment when you wake up and you feel that you were under an attack, and you feel that I'm safe, but at the same time you feel it could be someone else now at the same moment. So it's about nightmare, but it's true.
What is your hope for Aleppo? Can it ever be the place that you loved again?
Yes, of course. I'm really waiting for the moment when I can go back, you know, to start our dream as 2011 and start to build a new community and new services and a new dream of all the Syrians.
There's an image in the film of a young girl holding a sign that says, "This is Aleppo.
This is some.
What's justice?" What would justice for Aleppo be?
The justice is not remove al-Assad, but kill him and be like in a court with really deal and justice suit as what people really want, and maybe bring back the belief and the trust of the things which all the world should be shared about the freedom, justice and dignity, which even the Western governments, they give us feeling that this is something like fake and this is not true anymore. And we are fighting for these things. So all the world left us and let us down, while when al-Assad regime fighting for killing people, the Russian and China and Iran was supporting him to the end. So which side it should be supported and from who? And we are fighting for these things. So all the world left us and let us down, while when al-Assad regime fighting for killing people, the Russian and China and Iran was supporting him to the end. So which side it should be supported and from who? And when people have really responsible of their dream and their feeling, we should really support them.
Shokran Wad, thank you.
Thank you.